Hello everyone, and thanks for joining me today. I am Haruna, and in this video I will walk you through how I prepared, the resources I used, my exam experience, and some tips that will help you pass the exam. So if you're studying for the RHCSA or just someone interested in Linux containers and security, stay tuned, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. First, what is the RHCSA exam? So RHCSA, it's the Red Hat Certified System Administrator certification. So it's designed to test your ability to manage RHEL-based systems in real-world scenarios, so real-world environment. And it's unlike other IT certifications, this is 100% hands-on, no multiple choice questions. You get live RHEL systems, live Linux virtual machines, and you must complete all the tasks that are given. In terms of the cost, it costs around, say, 570 to 600 pounds. The exams itself is 500 pounds. Then you have to pay with VAT. So this essentially that's the price in the UK. It varies. So probably in the US it could be $500, or some people do get discount vouchers, but then let's roughly 600 pounds. That's how much it costs. So the exam is 3 hours in terms of the duration. It's 3 hours long, and you don't have internet access during the exams. So, but you can use systems built in documentation, like man pages, info, or help. Just like the typical tools you use within your systems, the environment to find help. So man pages, for example, we get to see some of the examples. So you can either take the exam at the testing center or take it from home remotely. And if you decide to take it from home, then you will need a system that is connected to the internet, obviously. And then you need a camera, a room that is clear, as in clear of any suspicious, material. The Red Hat Certified System Administrator, these are the exams objectives. If you just Google RHCSA objectives, it will take you straight to Red Hat's website, and you can get, so the exams, the objectives are available online. You can get this and sort of help you prepare, to guide you as you prepare for the exam. So the core components are the use of essential tools, where you do things like archiving files, redirecting input-output, then shell scripting as well, then how to operate running systems. So that's considered. How to manage maybe tuning profiles, how to preserve system journals, things like that. And then you have to do storage, managing local storage, and you have to be able to create and configure file systems, and that's where you do things like NFS or ext for file systems, deploy and manage maintain systems. And then you have networking, basic networking. You would need to configure one or both of the VMs in the exams to be able to connect to a particular server, and manage users and groups, generally security, that's SE Linux, and then containers. Containers is also a key part of the exam itself. So that's like a summary of the objectives. Let's look at my preparation, strategy, and my practice lab. So I have a combination of books. The first one is this. That's RHCSA exam, the study guide. That's the author, Asghar Gori. So another one I have is this by Michael Jang, and then Vanguard, Sanders' book. So these are all these are good essentially. I think it depends on how comfortable you are or how well you like maybe the author's writing, but they are all equally good, I would say. So you can, if you go through after each chapter, there are exercises that you try hands on, and at the end of the book, you've got the practice exam to to play with. Apart from using the book, the books I just showed you, there are free videos on YouTube. You can just do a Google search or YouTube search, and then go through, watch and do the hands-on, keeping the exam objectives in mind. So just about anywhere online I could find mostly free learning resources. That's where I was getting most of my aside maybe buying books, or you could find videos, even though there are videos on Udemy, O'Reilly, which we'll get to that. You can get a free O'Reilly account, which is it's valid for 10 days generally, so you can use that the 10 days. And I would advise that you do that towards when you've booked your exams, and it's sort of not too far away, just so you can use the complete, you can concentrate and work, do a lot of hands-on, spend more time on the O'Reilly free account doing practice exams, so that's another option. And then how long did it take me? I think let's just jump to that. How long did it take me to prepare? So I would say it took me about around, let's say, 7 months ish. That's because at first I wasn't that consistent with that, juggling work and trying to prepare for the exams. But I became more consistent about 3 months ago. I mean, 3 months to the exams, and studying on average of, let's say, 3 to 4 hours a day. It varies sometimes. So sometimes early in the morning before work, and say after work, or weekends as well. So the primary key that helped me was consistent hands-on practice. So consistency is key when it comes to preparing a study plan, for preparing for this exam. Practicing a little every day, is better than cramming at the last minute. Cramming wouldn't really help here because it's not multiple choice questions that you say the answer. It's a scenario they'll give you, configure this, configure that, things like that. We'll get to see more on that. So I would recommend you also join like an online community. There is, for example, this Red Hat subreddit that I did join. If I say view profile, where's my posts? So post is taking longer than, so I did post about my experience, passing, summarize, to just so I help others the same way the people that passed before me shared their experiences. Those that passed and failed as well shared their experiences, and that helped me, and I just felt like returning the favor, helping the community. So I would suggest that you join places like that. There are many communities online to join, but I'm just showing you the one that I did join for while I was preparing. So my practice lab. So in the months leading to my exams, I would typically create virtual machines, use them to complete practice exam tasks and exercises from the book I am reading. So it's either following the practice exercises from the book, or if it's a YouTube video that someone is trying to show how you configure stuff based on this, based on the objectives of the exams, you would need to create your own environment. You need to install your own operating systems, RHEL-based systems. So it could be Red Hat itself or Rocky Linux. I used Rocky Linux a lot, but Eventually, I installed Red Hat as well, because you will be able to use the subscription manager or subscription management. You will get a license for up to 16 VMs, up to 16 systems for the free account. So if you do Red Hat, the developer account, you'll be able to manage up to 16 systems. But if you do not have that, you can easily download and install Rocky. It's just say download Rocky Linux 9. So maybe by the time you're watching this video, it could be Rocky 10 or whatever, but just use Rocky, and you can just download the ISO and install. The steps for installing the procedure is in, I think, virtually all the books or the resources you find online. So yes, set up your environment. For me, I used actually this MacBook I am using to make this video is what I have used all through. So in other words, let me show you. This is my virtualization software. This is my hypervisor. It's UTM. And this MacBook is MacBook M2 Pro. So that's the Apple Silicon. VirtualBox isn't quite, working on. I've not tried for a while. The first time I did try, it didn't work, and I just forgot about that. But now I'm using UTM. I have been using it for a while. It's been stable. It's been working for me. So if you have a Windows system or another system or an Intel-based MacBook, then you can install VirtualBox for free. VMware Fusion is also another option. Parallels is another option, but you have to pay. But then UTM works fine. So that's this my environment. I have a lot of VMs. Don't worry about the other VMs you're seeing. Yeah, I even have Windows at some point. I have Ubuntu. But then the point is, I tried my best to create a scenario where it gives me the opportunity to practice. So what do I mean by that? In the exams itself, you would have 2 VMs to work with, as in the real exams, you have 2 VMs. But then the server, the box that is hosting the VMs, the guest, the host of these VMs is another server, which will usually have things like maybe container images, or maybe serving NFS users, home directories for NFS users, things like that. So I tried, you need to create that environment so you become comfortable and familiar with playing with these environments. They are currently running. Oh, why not now? I can just open it. This is node 1, this node 2, and this is the repo server. What did I try to do here? Okay, so this is the repo server. Yes, node 1, node 2. So these are like the clients, and then this the server. It's just so you can try doing the exam objectives, try doing practice exams, and stuff. So let me minimize this. And okay, one more thing I should say about the lab itself is, if you're using VirtualBox or VMware Fusion or just VMware, you can take snapshots of VM. So let's say I create a new VM, I install a new operating system, new Rocky Linux or Red Hat Linux. While it's still empty, just a fresh install, I can take the snapshot of that VM while it's clean, before I do stuff, before I try configure this, do that, do all the tasks, play around with it. And once I'm done with practicing, I can go back to the snapshot as when it's clean, so I start over again. So that helps in reinforcing what you're learning, the hands-on. It forces you to install things again. It forces you to do things like reset the root password, which is also part of the exam anyways. So let's talk about my experience with, the exams itself, because I've said the materials I've got, what I've used, the lab environment I have, and then the exams. I did pass, anyways, first attempt, by the way. So I took the RHCSA exam at a Red Hat testing center, which I did mention that you can do it. You can take it from home. It's optional. It's up to you. But I did take mine at the testing center, and then with no access to internet, of course. And everything was monitored. There is a proctor, a person there, well, not sitting directly with me, but then it's I am being monitored, and then there are cameras. The camera on the box itself I'm using, and then a camera on the desk, and then there's a proctor, some guy or some person somewhere, anyways, that you could chat with to say, they would ask you to show your ID. First, you need to you go with your government issued ID of wherever city you are. I mean, wherever country you are that you want to use, and yeah, they would just ask you to show everything. Take the external camera, show around to make sure there's nothing, hanging somewhere for you to cheat. That's if you have the intention of cheating. So the exams, I did mention it's 3 hours. So if you plan to take the exams from home, just make sure that you have a good internet connectivity, and then you have to meet the requirements of having the external camera. So time management is important, because yes, in the exams you have it's 3 hours, and you can take breaks if you want to. Let's say you want to take, I don't know, water, or you want to use the restroom or something like that. You're allowed to, but the timer wouldn't stop. That's important for you to realize. It's that the 3 hours will continue running. If you decide to take a break for 30 minutes, which I don't know why you would want to do that, but then 30 minutes will be taken off your exams. So you just keep that at the back of your mind. So time is a big factor in this exam. So for me, even though you decide to take, I didn't take any breaks, to be honest. I didn't take any breaks. I was able to complete all my tasks, and I had like 40 minutes, I would say, left on the clock when I completed. So I just used that opportunity to reboot my systems, like 3-4 times or so, just to see that everything persists reboot. And that's another point. If I have not mentioned, I'm saying it now, that every config you do, every task you're asked to perform must be able to persist reboots. If you're being asked to configure networking, assign an IP address, hostname, DNS, whatever default gateway, after rebooting the system, everything should come up. If you've been asked to do security stuff, SC Linux with HTTPD, for example, a web page that is serving on a different port other than port 80, for instance, that needs to persist reboots. If you're being asked to do container stuff, Podman, it needs to persist. If you're doing storage stuff, creating LVMs, that needs to persist reboot. So yeah, it's important to be able to reboot. Try rebooting once in a while to see, while writing the exam. So you need to calm down and read the instructions carefully, because you might miss a place where they've provided you with the credentials to log into a particular VM. For the Podman, that's containers, the containers task, you would need to log into a registry, a local registry that's on one of the servers, the third server I was talking about. The main server itself. If you do not have the username and password, you would not be able to log into the registry, and by implication, you would not be able to download the container image that you need to use to create a container, right? And you can only find that if you read the instructions carefully. Take your time to do that because it will save you a lot of time going back and forth. So you find your login credentials as well. Then try and start with the easy ones. At least that's what I did. Start with the easy ones, secure those points quickly. For example, creating users, changing host names, etc. You know what the easy tasks are. Try and start with those. And then don't get stuck if, something isn't working. Don't worry. Just leave it. Go to what you're sure, or try something else. If it works, then, because time, the clock, you have the environment. Yes, that brings me to, I'll come back to my experience, but there is a video I wanted to show you guys. Yes, this one. So it's the title is Inside a Red Hat Certification Exam, What You Need to Know. That's inside the exam itself. This is by Red Hat. So I watched this video a couple of times before my exams. The idea is, let me play, but I've muted the sound. The idea is, in this video, Red Hat tried to show you what the environment look like. I'm not going to put the sound here, but that's the general idea. They're trying to show you this is what happens. This is what you're going to see. RHCSA exams. This is how the questions are, the task, for example, things like that. So for someone who is taking the exams for the first time, like I did, there is no way you would know what the environment looks like. And that could be a problem if you do not find out quickly, trying to navigate the environment. So I recommend you watch this video. The title is here. It's just Inside Red Hat Exams. In fact, the way I search, you can still see my search here. I just searched for RHCSA exam day. That's all. And I found this video and I was really glad I did. They explained, things that the environment, the things you need to do, some sort of scenarios for you, the terminal, the VMs and everything to show you that you can create a VM. You can, start, stop, reboot a VM. You can even rebuild it if something happens. And I hope anything doesn't lead, but then anything can happen and you might need to be able to, you might need to rebuild the VM to continue. So yes, this video, I strongly recommend it, just so you get yourself familiar with the environment. And coming from someone who passed the exams, myself, watch this, because this the environment, to be honest. This the environment I took my exams on. It's exactly this, yeah, it's I strongly recommend this video. I did mention O'Reilly. Yes, just go to O'Reilly.com. Try it for free. I think you get 3 days. So if you register, just look for the RHCSA, search for RHCSA, and you will have the courses there. Start with the simple task. So use the documentation. It's very important because you're not going to have internet access during the exams. I've mentioned that before. So start with use documentation. So what do I mean? For example, if you want to do SE Linux things, you want to add a port number, you don't know the command. This is just a random example, right? For instance, so if I know SE manage, for example, is doing SE manage port, right? I know SE manage port. Maybe I want to list SE manage port. If I hit enter, I have a long list, for example. So if I want to add a port number for HTTP, so let's say if I want you guys to see this, so let me, yeah. So if I say SE manage port -L and I look for, say, HTTP, SE, oh yeah, of course, it's not CManage, it's SE manage, for example. I look for HTTP, right? So I would have HTTP port, and then these are the port numbers that are currently, in use. So if I want to add another port number and I don't know how, for example, this a random example, right? I could do man SE manage port and hit enter. So man SE manage port will tell you SE Linux policy management port mapping tool, right? And then I just go to I mean during the exams, but while preparing for the exams, it's good to read through and understand what the command does, what the command is, stuff like that. But in the exams, I just look for examples. Some commands have examples, so I just search. If the pattern is not found, then I might have, let me say example. Yes, so yeah, example. So for example, you can see there are examples that some might be useful for you. For instance, what I'm looking for is I want to add a port. So for instance, this allow Apache to listen to TCP on port 81. So I want to add port 81 to that list. You can just copy this command, you know, I can just copy it from here and come to my terminal. For instance, if it's 81 I want, or if it's 99, whatever it is, I can just add from here. This is just a random example to say if you forget how to do something, or let's say if it's storage stuff and you don't know the commands, you can use man-k, right, and do, I don't know, pv create or LVM, or just say LVM. pv create it's even precise. So let's say LVM. I hit enter. It will bring commands that have to do with things that have to do with LVM. You see pv remove is there, pv create is there, and things like that. It's so you can, from here, for example, I can say man pv create, right, and read about the command and look for examples if there are any, or you look for similar. If there are no examples, you look for all these places that say see also. So you see also, you know, these commands that are closely related, you know. So you would have to do this while preparing for the exams, while studying, to be comfortable with it, to be familiar with the process of finding what a command is, what the command is doing, things like that. It's not in the exam you just tap from that, you know, that knowledge, if there is a need for that. If you cannot recall any command, or you know, things like that, the man pages there, info pages are there. But I just, for me, I think I used man pages more often in the exams. So yeah, I did mention reboot as much as often as possible. And then some challenges, you know, some mistakes to what do you call it, to avoid. Apart from rebooting, there are tasks that depend on other tasks. It's like they have dependencies. Well, it's Linux, right? It's a dependency thing. So what I mean by that is, for example, for me personally, I would just briefly talk about my experience with LVM, creating LVM story partition. First, you need to create the partition. You have a disk, right? For example, let's say, if we say lsblk, list block devices, right? VDC here, or let's say VDA. VDA is partitioned to have VDA 1, VDA 2, VDA 3. In the exam, for example, or yeah, you could be given VDB, which is not partitioned. It's just a disk, a raw disk, hasn't been partitioned, and the size is 10 gigs. You might be asked to partition this, you know, and create an LVM, put a file system on the LVM, and then mount it somewhere and make it persist reboot. That's part of the practice exams. You find this in the books you read, or lectures that you follow. Either way, it's a good skill to have, even if it's not for the exam. So there is a concept of physical extents and logical extents. You would need to understand those. I had a problem with the logical extent because I created the partition. I was asked to create the partition, did PV create, I did VG create volume group, I did LV to do. The volume group has a physical extent. That went fine. The the LVM, that's LV crate, needed a particular size for the logical extend. I tried doing that, it didn't work. It says no physical available physical extend is too small, something like that. Anyways, I had to break down everything. I mean, I had to remove the LVM, the VG group, remove the PV, delete the partition, and then recreate again by increasing the size of the physical extent and this the box the partition itself. So I'm just saying this really happened. I'm not telling you about a hypothetical. No, that's what I went through. So being able to do something like that requires you to be familiar with the environment, with storage, with LVM, with the task of, just so you don't panic and be like, oh, this is not working. And it's very easy for you to panic, and time, it doesn't stop. Like 3 hours, and that's it. So I'm just giving you like an example of what happens. So and you can only avoid this. I think you can try to avoid this things like that by reading the documentation, the instructions carefully before you start any particular task. So what's next? The natural path, I believe, is RHCE. So that's a Red Hat certified engineer. But then you could do DevOps. You could do anything. This, like, it gives you the skill you need. Linux is used in most infrastructure. So if you're doing automation, if you're doing infrastructure as code, if you're doing DevOps, you're doing cloud, Linux, it's somewhere there. But well, for me, yeah, RHC, doing Ansible. I've been using Ansible for a while. Yes, that's true. But then now I'll have to look at it from a different point of view, looking at the exam objectives, trying to understand how everything works and stuff. But yeah, that's RHCE. So to wrap up, RHCE is not about memorization, right? Don't try to cram anything. It's not going to help you. It's about real world scenarios, right? So if you put in the hands-on practice, you would pass. Give it a like. Subscribe if you've not. Share with anyone you think might find this useful. Comment or ask just about anything. I am willing to help. Answer. I'll try to answer any question you've got about the RHCSA exam. And I did mention earlier that yes, I will do a series that covers these topics, focusing on the exam practice question scenarios. We'll go through, I'll use my lab, the setup I've got, and then we do the tasks together. I think that it might help some people, those that are trying to prepare for the RHCSA exam. So thanks once again for staying this long to hear me make noise about my experience with RHCSA exam. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.